the awkward part of a start of a live stream. Hello. Hello, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me okay in the chat there and that everything looks and sounds okay. The start of a live stream is always like super awkward, but I'm sure it'll get less awkward as I keep doing them. So hello, I hope everyone's well. I'm just doing a little impromptu, probably about half an hour live stream as I have some time up my sleeve today. And I thought it would be good to jump on and do like a proper public live stream because the last one was an accidental public live stream. Yeah, so I got a haircut. I don't know if you can really see because I've got headphones on, but that's an exciting update. So today I'm going to talk about some general updates and things that have been going on for me with like content and other stuff, just fun stuff to share. And then I also want to talk about some client work that I've been doing and just sort of talk about that process a little bit and how it's been for me because it's super new and it's not something that I thought that I would ever do. So yeah, I thought it would be good to just share my experience a little bit. Obviously, I am not offering people advice who have been doing it for like a really long time and all of that. So it's just my kind of experience, and I might do some videos about it, as I go and get more confident with it, and sort of share things like all the questions there are, and how do you charge, and there's just so much to learn. And I've had some really great support from people like the photo department. Chris, he sent me some really nice messages and gave me a few pointers and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been awesome to have the support of everybody. All right, let's get into some of the things. So I just finished literally now filming a new YouTube video that should be out in the next couple of days because we got a new computer because our computer was struggling, and we're also using DaVinci Resolve. Well, I'm not. Lux is. So yeah, he's loving that, and I think that the editing process will be a lot more seamless. So hopefully we'll be able to pump videos out at a better rate. So that one was just me using my 101 creative strategies guide that I made as like a little thing for photographers just to kind of reference if you're feeling like in a rut, or you need some inspiration, or you need to kind of like change it up a little bit. So it's a downloadable like printable guide. I printed mine out at like Officeworks here in Australia. I don't know what the equivalent of that is worldwide. I think Kinko's, is that like you guys, I've heard you guys say that before, I think in America. And I bound it and got it covered and stuff. So yeah, it's just like a little guide of 101 tips. And I was the first time I used Canva designing it too. So that was really fun. But yeah, I've put 5 of them to use, and in a video, like out in the field, so that you can kind of get an idea of what they're like, and then put together a video kind of going more in depth on each of the tips. So that will be out soon. If you want to grab a copy, there is a link in the description now, I believe. And also, if you purchase a print, you get a free copy of that guide too, as like a thank you. So I've got 35% off on the print shop until the end of February, until the end of this month. So there's heaps of new things on there. This is like the most I've had on the print shop ever, I think. So yeah, go and check it out. 35% off, and then you get a free copy of that guide as well. Hello, Jessica. Thank you for joining. And yeah, prints have been selling really well. This has been like my biggest month, which is really cool. It's nice to see you guys like taking advantage of the sale. And I think that it goes to show you, I'm not going to name names, but I did ask some bigger people, like bigger channels, how they go selling on Darkroom, just out of curiosity and being a little bit nosy. And they said like, oh, not that well. And I think that's down to the fact that they don't really advertise it and they don't promote it. So I think that goes to show you that even if you have a really large audience, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll sell more prints. I think it comes down to how you market them, how you talk about them, and like how much you're promoting them, I guess, which I know a lot of people feel really uncomfortable doing. I actually really enjoy it. Like I find it really interesting and fascinating, and I really like doing it. So so anyway, I have a video on that if you guys haven't seen it, about talking about how to sort of sell more prints, I guess, or like get comfortable with talking about them. But yeah, anyway, that's linked below if you want to check it out for some inspiration if you want to start a shop as well. Hello, everybody. Hi. Ali, thank you so much for joining. Hello, Michael. Good evening from the Netherlands. Nice to have you here. Yes, an impromptu live stream, Ali. You inspired me. I loved your last live stream, like the highlights one that you did. That was really cool. I might have to do that with mine. So another cool thing that I got in the mail, if you read my newsletter this morning, which is also linked below, everything is linked below as always. I did a little interview with the founders of Pole Studio. They're in France. They're in Lyon, I'm pretty sure. And they make these really cool like Polaroid frames. I'll show you. I have some of them here. I feel like I was just saying to Lux, I feel like these were made for me. We have little like tables like in our living room that look like these. So there's like different packs of like colors and stuff, and then you can put your Polaroids in them. So yeah, Polaroid 600 or I-type, and then you can also, they have Instax mini ones as well. So yeah, it's called Pole Studio. Check them out. Check out the interview. It's really cool to hear their like backstory and how it kind of came about. And they've done these wall frames. So behind me over there, there's we've got Polaroids like blue tack to the wall, but they always fall down because it gets really hot in here. So I will be putting one of the frames back there today because I'm going to be filming some reels and some like YouTube shorts with these products, which I'm really excited to do. I've like storyboarded them and everything. So yeah, they have a little discount on the wall frames at the moment as well because they've just launched them. So it's all in the newsletter if you want to check out the interview and follow along with them. They're all made in France too, which is super cool. So I've got a couple more people. Thank you for joining. Greetings from Washington. Hello, Angie. Hello, Terrence. Awesome. So moving on, I wanted to talk a little bit. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. Unstable Lights, the Unstable Lights exhibition is like getting closer and closer. I spoke to someone over at Cine Still. They said they're going to attend, which is super cool. And I have had people DM me saying that they're going. I so wish that I could go, but it's pretty far and, you know, like I have responsibilities as a mom and all of that. So but I will try. I think there's going to be more Unstable Lights in the future, and I'd really like to get over there and be able to be a part of it. But if you can go, if you're near there, definitely go. I will add that to the links below so you can check it out because the website's looking really good, and there's been a lot of new things added. I think it's March 11th. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and Fabian and Laura, like the organizers, are so lovely. So definitely reach out if you have any questions, and if you do go, definitely say hello to them as well. It's going to be super awesome. So onto the client work thing, I wanted to talk a little bit about like what it's been like for me doing some sort of like paid photography gigs professional. I feel uncomfortable calling myself like a professional because like I think of a professional being like somebody who, you know, has a lot of knowledge and like they have like all this, you know, pro gear and like they know kind of like what they're doing, I guess. But since starting it, I've kind of let go of that a little bit because I've realized that the people who've come to me and said, "Oh, I'd love for you to take photos of my shop or my restaurant or whatever," um, kind of wanting something different. And they've said to me when I say like, "What are you looking for?" They say to me, "Oh, we don't want it to look like, you know, really polished and really professional." And I'm like, "Well, you've come to the right person because like, you know, everything I've shot with my like Yashica T4 and then I've used an SLR as well so I can get two kind of looks. But you know, I just think it's cool to shoot things with a point and shoot where you know, restaurants you'd normally have this big elaborate setup or it would be really professional. So I'm really leaning into that as my thing that I can offer. And I think I don't know if any of you listening or watching back have ever thought about doing anything like that. And I would just say don't let any of those like limiting beliefs kind of hold you back. Like definitely lean into like what makes you different. You don't have to just be recreating the same thing that everyone else is sort of doing. It's kind of the approach I had to starting this YouTube channel. Like we watched a lot of YouTube and I was like, I would love to do that. But I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm not like Analog Insights, the German guy. whose channel is great, but like he knows everything about every single camera, and it's like very, I'm not that, I'm not like shooting large format. I'm not blah, blah, blah. So I sort of let that hold me back for a long time. And I'm so glad that well, Lux pushed me to do it, because now I'm on here and I'm sharing my perspective. And I think it's one that a lot of people share and like enjoy, even if they're not like exactly like me. So, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with the client work. I've picked up a few kind of like regular jobs as well, which is really cool. So it's nice to know that like people want you to kind of come back. And I think building relationships with people, as in anything that you do, is really important. I'm shooting a friend's like Spanish tapas bar tonight, which is going to be really cool. We used to work together, and yeah, him and his girlfriend have a little bar. So I'm gonna shoot that. I've been shooting some of the stuff with my Olympus Pen FT, and that's cool because then I get 72 shots. So I get more chances because I'm new. And then, the client is paying for like one roll, but they get, more photos. So so that's been really good. I feel like that's giving me a little bit of security. And then the T4 has been great. It's been I did have a couple of problems with it focusing like close up when I first got it, but that hasn't happened on these shoots too much. So yeah, I'd like to use the L35, but I'm worried that something will go wrong like midway, and the T4 seems to be like the most reliable point and shoot that I have at the moment. But if I do continue to do this, I might look at getting like another point and shoot that's like just for work, that's more like that's in that similar kind of range, like something fancy. Yeah. So what else? I wanted to talk about diptychs. So the last roll that I got from my pen, I decided to not get them scanned as diptychs and just individual photos, and just because in the past I've gotten all of them as diptychs, and I've realized I haven't really gone back and like revisited the photos, so I thought I'll get them done just as separate scans. And yeah, like I actually like prefer it, which I didn't think I would, because I thought like that would be the thing that I would like the most about half frame, is you can have like this diptych, and it's really creative having the images side by side and all of that. But I think that what bothers me is it kind of makes it look like landscape, and like anyone who is like listening knows that like I love everything to be in portrait orientation. So seeing them as individual scans really, like, I don't know, like that really just made me love it more. So I think in the future I'll do that. But another thing I was thinking about, which I will do a video on half frame in March. I've got one coming up in collaboration with um, Ikigai, which is like really exciting. But I'm kind of a little bit like, I don't know what you guys think, so comment. But should we just be leaving the diptychs like as they are, as they've kind of like happened, or like is it okay to like move them around? Like, is that cheating? Like, should you be looking for things and really matching them up, and like, or letting things happen naturally, or is it okay to like move them around? And like, I don't know, I'm not saying I think either way, but it's just something that came up when I was, because I noticed, I was like, oh, I didn't really pay attention. So there were some really happy accidents, which was cool. But then there were other ones where I was like, this photo would go a lot better with this photo. So it would be cool to move them. So yeah. But let me know what you guys think. A T3 like matte. Yes, maybe something in that realm, but I'll see what happens with this, because like I don't have infinite amount of time, so I can't sort of go and shoot whenever people want. Like, I have specific days I'm available, and I'll have to see how it goes. But it's really fun, and it's so cool seeing like brands and businesses want film. Like, they're really like, we want this. Like, you don't have to convince them, like they already know about it, even if it's just a little bit, and they like love that look, and they want that like more real kind of like authentic sort of look, or they want to really like lean into the like nostalgia of it and stuff, which is really cool. And I feel like I'm seeing a lot of fashion stuff as well, like be shot on film. And I know, Ali, you said a lot of your clients at work are opting for film, asking for film, which you're happy to facilitate, of course. So yeah, I think it's really cool. Hopefully that'll keep the interest in it and keep it like afloat. Ali's saying, so interesting what we gravitate towards. I love portrait orientation, pretty much shoot that way 75% of the time. Me too. My pro photog dad always said only shoot landscape though. Yeah, I actually had a comment from somebody on YouTube actually. I think it was on my Cine Still 400D video, and it was where I shot the Classic Car Festival. And they said, "Oh, just a tip for you, Lucy. You should be shooting in. You should try shooting in landscape because you're shooting in portrait and you're missing the context of all of your scenes." I think he meant like I'm at this car festival and I'm just getting this really tight crop of this car, and like you don't know where I am or who's there or when it is or whatever. And I was like, I get what you're saying, but that's kind of why I'm doing it. Like, I don't want any context in my photos normally, unless I'm doing like a job. Obviously, I'm going to, like, that's something I struggled with actually when I was shooting like this shop and this deli. Like, I was focusing in on like these tiny details, and I had to remind myself to step back and get a full shot of actually what it was because I'm so like attracted to just the smaller kind of like details, which is great when you're shooting for yourself, but when you're shooting for someone else, you have to kind of change that a little bit. So yeah, it's interesting, like the landscape versus portrait thing, but I just find it easier to compose in portrait orientation for some reason. And I do think as well, and this guy did mention this in his comment on YouTube, and I think he was a little bit older. He sort of blamed it a little bit on Instagram or social media, and like that's why like I see through that lens because of my age, which is partly true for sure. Like I definitely it's things get lost on Instagram when they're in that landscape like orientation, or when people put like a border and stuff around it. Often I find like it's I don't want to say passable, but it's just when something's portrait, it's a lot more like arresting on a feed, which isn't the be all and end all of everything, but I'm definitely someone that wants to stand out. So, and I like it, yeah, for composing things. It's just how I see, whether that's because of what I've grown up with on social media, I don't know, but I don't think that that's something that we need to sort of apologize for, I guess. Someone's asking what is a point and shoot. And Michael has answered everything on automatic, no spot metering, manual. Yeah, my dream, just point and shoot. I love to, yeah, just go for it. I find myself shooting portrait only really because of Instagram, and that's because Insta never introduced landscape. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely due to social media, absolutely. But an artistic preference as well, I guess. No, hey, hello, nice to have you here. Definitely prefer portrait as well, for sure. Thank you, Timothy. I love your use of portrait orientation. Yeah, just it looks I much prefer it. I've kind of like smashed through all my talking points because I was like so worried that I would go on too much and it would be like this bloated live stream. But if anyone has any questions, please feel free to pop them in the comments. I did my giveaway as well, and I will be posting that off to Naomi hopefully this afternoon, if not on Monday. And I got a big order of film from Ikigai as well. I got heaps of like Fuji Superior and Kodak Gold. I don't really know why I ordered so much Kodak Gold because I'm not actually a huge fan, but I think it might be good for jobs and stuff, and for portraits and stuff like that as well. And some Ultramax, which I'm just absolutely loving. I just love Ultramax. There's something about Ultramax in the L35 that just bangs. And also my Minolta AFC. I love that camera so much. I got this shot you might have seen on Instagram of like a ping pong table on my Minolta, and it's just so sharp. Like I love when you get like a really amazing image from a point and shoot and it's like, wow, you wouldn't think by looking at that kind of came from that. So yeah, I really love that. And I took it really quickly as well. I wasn't considered with it, and so yeah, there's been a few times I've actually not had a camera on me lately and I've seen things. So I definitely need to make sure I've got it in my bag. It's just so hard when you have kids and you're trying to take photos. And especially with film lately, I've been trying to be really like a lot more frugal and a lot more like considered and like, oh, like when we go out as a family, we will be like, oh, we won't take film cameras. We'll take like the Fuji X-C1 because, you know, then it's like we're saving money because we're shooting digital. So yeah. Some more comments here. Ali, can we talk about this haircut? It's a little bit shorter than I expected it to be. My mum was a hairdresser, so she does my hair, obviously, which is great. And yeah, she kind of cut it, and she cut it quite short, but it's all right. It'll grow back. It's just hair. With my photo project, to photograph every person that serves me in a restaurant or buy something from, I'm shooting portrait style. That's cool. Yeah, some photo projects. I'm actually I sort of have a little bit of a photo project going at the moment. Sort of. It's sort of, you know, when you just realize that you've been doing something, like you've been photographing a certain object or a place or a color or whatever. So I'm going to enter it into the Head On Photo Festival that's open now. I'll try and remember to put a link below for anyone who's in Australia. It happens every year. Matt from Matt Loves Cameras, he interviewed a guy who did this really awesome project on Kodak Aerochrome. Matt interviewed him, and it was really good. And he did an interview with him on f-stoppers as well. And his work was like absolutely just stunning, like stunning use of aerochrome. And yeah, he was in Head On Festival last year, I think. So yeah, so it's not something that I thought that I would enter, but I've been trying to, alongside doing professional work and putting myself out there more, I've been trying to enter into competitions, open calls. Like Lux and I both entered the National Photographic Portrait Prize, which is, you know, obviously like very competitive. But since I've had the opportunity with Unstable Lights, and also I had a meeting with my local kind of like big, like they're like a big gallery. Like they've got a Warhol exhibition on at the moment. The curators there have been sending me through stuff that they're like, you know, Lucy, we think that you should enter this, or, you know, this is coming up. And sometimes it's a really small local opportunity. Sometimes it's a bigger thing. So just trying to like view everything the same and just like go for it, and just enter it. And I think, you know, you just got to do that and see what comes back. So yeah, so I'm going to enter Head On with my photo project that I'm sort of working on, that I'll release later on for you guys. I also have some like mixed feelings about making a zine. I feel like I've been saying that I'm going to make a zine, and then I never make a zine, and I don't know what it is, but you know, when you just don't feel, I just don't feel like I want to pull the trigger on that. I think a lot of it's time as well. Like I really have to sort of just pick things to focus on. I've got some limited edition prints coming out soon with this publishing company in Munich. I won't say too much because I'm not sure like it's going to be happening soon, but I did ask them about like, you know, what do I do to sort of get like a book? You know, like you see like Carl McDougall has a book, or like Wesley Verhoeven. I always say his name wrong, but he's awesome, and he has a really cool book called Notice. And I mean, he's an extremely established, like successful photographer. But it would be cool to do a book and have a publishing company kind of like behind it, or I don't know, involved. I have literally no idea how that works, and I don't know if anyone would be interested in doing that with someone like me. But I find it very overwhelming with the zine because you've got to like do all of it. And I really love zines, but I think I kind of prefer to like support other people's zines than make my own. Maybe that'll change when I have more time. But yeah, just be cool to put together like a book. And like I really like collaborating with people rather than like, you know, I'm not very good at just like doing things on my own. That's why like I need Lux. You know, like we do this together, and every time I have an idea, I tell him, and like I literally tell him everything, and we just bounce off each other. So that's just how I am. And I need sort of the encouragement from someone else, or not validation, but just like for them to say, you know, oh, maybe not that, maybe this, or have you thought about this, or like say like, yes, that's a brilliant idea, or whatever. Like I really need that. I'll catch up with some of the comments. Hashim is here. Hello, thank you for joining. I always love Hashim's live streams. He's so like polished and professional, and like he's so, I don't know, just live streaming's really hard. Like it's really, really hard. It's like if you think about what you're doing, it's really overwhelming and you're like, "Oh, there's all these people," or like, "There's all these people," or there's like not many people, like both is stressful. So I know like a lot of we there's like other channels we watch, and I've talked to Hashim about this before, like when you see people like Russell Brand or whatever, and they're like live streaming and like they're just so good. But I guess like, he's had a whole career of kind of doing that. So it makes sense. It's kind of like you're talking to yourself as well, a little bit, really. And then you feel a bit sort of crazy. Um, how do you find opportunities to enter your photos in competitions, publications? Yeah, good question, Josh. Mostly like I just go for it. I don't really think about it that much. I do try and look at like tailor it to the competition or the thing. So like reading the brief or looking at like their Instagram page or like what won last year, like what kind of thing would be like for the national portrait photographic portrait prize. I entered a picture of my son that I took, which, I never really take portraits, but it just happened to be really good. If I'm allowed to say that about my own photography. But Lux, he entered a picture of me and he's sort of saying that he thinks that there's too much grain in the photo and like he's not sure if they'll like that or not because everything else that's won looks quite sort of like digital, I guess. So understanding that I think sometimes like you don't get chosen not because your stuff isn't good, but maybe just because it's not suitable for the thing. And sometimes I choose to not enter things because I'm like, look, I really don't think that they're going to vibe with my work. And like, do I want my photography in that? Like, does it align or whatever? So it's that's such a subjective thing. I think also with galleries, this is something that I struggle with a lot. And I think I've brought it up in a video before, but when I had my meeting with the curators at this gallery, I was really nervous because I was like, well, I think my work is visually good, and it's come a long way, but it doesn't really have meaning, sort of per se, and I could fabricate a lot of meaning around it if I wanted to. I don't want to do that obviously because it's disingenuine, but um, I think there probably is more there than I'm giving it credit for. But when I look at people who do like put like these portraits of people and there's this big story, and I find people really connect to that, and galleries definitely want like some kind of meaning, or they want like a political statement, or especially now with how kind of like there's so much going on in the world, and people really want to feel like that their work is like changing something or doing something, which is what a large part of what art is. And I love that, but sometimes it can just be nice to look at as well, or well composed, or I don't know, yeah, or maybe someone else will find meaning. I don't know, it's so hard. It's such a like, this is a huge topic, and it's something I definitely I struggle with because I kind of just like think, oh, these are my photos and these are my photos, and there's no like story kind of like per se behind it. It's more I guess, yeah, but then somebody else might think that, so I don't know. So it's hard. I overthink everything to like a huge extent. So don't let yourself yeah, don't question yourself too much. I think sometimes on the other hand, it's good to just submit to something, and maybe it's 10 or 20 bucks, but it's worth it. Hello, I'm trying to catch up here. Hello, Christopher. Hello. Coming home from work. Awesome. I'll probably stay on for like another 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna get on with the rest of my stuff that I have to do today while my parents have my son. Cheers, Lucy. Your videos genuinely inspire me to get out of my comfort zone and actually trying to sell prints plus publish. Awesome. Yep, it's really good to hear. I love to show other people because I always thought that certain things were reserved for certain people, or I had this whole narrative around like who gets opportunities and who doesn't, and I've realized that a lot of it is like you make it for yourself. And like last night I literally said to someone, oh, if you need some photos for like your thing that you're doing, let me know. I'm happy to like send you a Google Drive of some of my pictures and you can use it. And they were like, that's awesome, thank you so much. And then they were like, oh, I actually would love to send you some stuff and you can photograph it and we can exchange services for it. So like I'm like, amazing, cool. Like if I hadn't have asked, I wouldn't have got it, because people are busy too, and they don't always, or like people don't always either get around to it. They maybe don't think that you want to do it, or you'd be up for it. So I just think like, yeah, if you don't ask, you don't get. Is that the saying? Hashim agreed. Like a moment of cringe. I don't have my glasses on, so I'm real like George Costanza here, like squinting. Like a moment of cringe realization that you're sitting in a room talking to your computer. 100%. It's like if anyone saw me, they'd be like, what is this? Yeah, what is she doing, for sure? If Kai Wong can release a book on film photography, anyone can. Yeah, he's got that one that's like the full guide to film photography. I think I've seen that before. Lux has just handed me my glasses. Thank you. I think this happened last time too. Different pair though. I think this is a different pair. And I'm from Mexico. I love film. Awesome. I'd love to know what the film photography scene is like in Mexico. In my newsletter, I asked the creators of Pulse Studio about what the analog photography scene was like in France, and that was really interesting. So definitely have a read of that. I'm always interested to know like what it's like in other places, and like how easy it is to get film, or like what the labs are like and what the scene's like and stuff. I have a friend who's in Japan at the moment, and she said film is like super, super expensive to buy in Japan, which kind of surprised me. I didn't know that, but I'm sure we'll find out from Matt Loves Cameras soon, because he'll be in Japan. I'm from the Netherlands and I love tacos. Delicious. I also love tacos, but they're not the same here in Australia as they are. I haven't been to Mexico, but in LA, they're like so, so good. Meaning is what you make of it. It's all part of storytelling, I guess. While I was at university, I couldn't find things to say with meaning. In literature classes, you realize meaning is whatever. It's so true. It can be anything. Like you can give anything meaning. Like a lot of the time when I'm at a gallery, I'll look at something and then I read the, like the description, and I'm like, I would never have gotten that from that picture. But like, that's obviously what the artist thinks. So if I hadn't have had that there, like, should you be able to derive the meaning just from the image, or like should you like have to have that like extra context to back it up? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's a lot of questions there. These are things I think about sort of like all the time. Meaning can be something you want to put out or something free for interpretation. Totally. There's a lot of movies like that, like, a lot of Lynch, like David Lynch stuff is very kind of like murky, or like something like Mulholland Drive, where you're like, what the is going on? Like, and then it's sort of open to you, and then it starts lots of conversations. I was having a conversation with someone about the second season of White Lotus, which is amazing. If anyone hasn't seen either season, go watch it. It's amazing. Like best TV show since like Sopranos that I've seen. And we were saying like there was a lot of open-ended things at the sort of end of White Lotus, like season 2, with all of the characters, but just enough to sort of be wondering like, did that happen, with that person, or like, yeah, some loose ends. So you've got to give, it's like a balance between giving people enough information to understand your art or your creation, as well as leaving it enough interpreted for them, so you're not like giving them everything and explaining it to them, so then there's like nothing to discover, like leaving that little sort of element of mystery. And I think that's one of the big things of storytelling in general. Like that's what makes a good script or a good novel or a good movie or blah blah blah, whatever. This is me like pretending I'm at university. My Lux always says to me like, oh, you would have loved, I never went to university, and he's like, you would have loved like lectures and talking about going to film school or talking about all of these things. Like I just love this so much. But that's okay. I can do it on my live stream. Nico made such an interesting point about his analytics. He said his audience is basically all in the US, because he said cameras and film are still relatively affordable here, sort of. Interesting. Yeah. A lot of my audience is in the US. I think maybe 12% Australia. I'm not sure. I've asked Hashim before, but I can't remember what he said. But yeah, it's interesting. The US really dominates a lot of, film photography and a lot of other stuff. Like, kind of feels like that's the center of everything. I think that's why it's good to have. That's like another reason why I wanted to kind of start the channel, to showcase you know, like obviously there's Hashem and there's Shoot with Coops and there's a couple of other people, but yeah, to like, you know, bring another Australian voice, which somebody actually commented saying, Lucy, lose the Australian accent. And your channel would be bearable. So lovely comment from that person. And they also said I had like a Valley Girl inflection, which I thought was, I didn't know what that was. I had to Google it. And 2071 photo is his name, Raphael. I think you know him, Ali. He sent me a video and it was like an old, like kind of looked like the 70s or something maybe, TV like piece where like the news anchor was interviewing these girls in the San Fernando Valley. Is that it? And like, yeah, they were like doing their whole Valley Girl thing. And I was a little bit like, oh yeah, that kind of, I can see how that guy would have thought that I sort of sound like that. I think when you watch a lot of, like we just said, everything's American, you watch everything American. And yeah, so I do sound different sometimes on here to how I sound in my like life as well, like probably more Australian when I'm talking to, you know, my family and stuff like that. I can see that Roberto said Wild at Heart. I think you're talking about the Lynch movie. Amazing. Wild at Heart's probably my favorite for sure. Like the just visually, Willem Dafoe's character, amazing. Nicolas Cage's like most appropriate character for him, I think, because like it was super cheesy and bad, and that's kind of him. Perfect for him. And like, yeah, Laura Dern's outfits and like the music, oh, just everything is such a cool movie. So cool. High film prices in Japan could be due to lack of domestic film manufacturing, could lend more evidence to the Fuji conspiracy. Oh, excuse me. I like that. That's really funny. Good movie too, Valley Girl. Yeah, I've heard of the movie, but I haven't seen the movie. Price of Cameras, Sally O'Malley from the Valley. I'll have to look this up. You do have a Valley Girl accent with your Australian accent. Oh my God, it's a thing. I was saying to Raphael, like, hashtag Valley Talk, because that's what they were saying. And they did this little head tilt, and I kind of do that as well. So it's funny because I didn't really know what it was. So it's funny that I sound like that. But I like Eraserhead and Elephant Man. Yeah, I haven't seen either of those in a long time, but Eraserhead really like disturbed me. I found it really disturbing. I think it's meant to be like that, but it's really cool. It's good, but I definitely prefer like Blue Velvet and like Wild at Heart for sure. Hello, another person from Sydney. Hello, awesome to have you here. Ali said peak Valley vibes is Alicia Silverstone in Clueless. Oh my God, yes, I love. Oh my God, yes. I love Clueless, and I love that movie so much. I love how she was like, you know, you can't trust mirrors, so you've got to take Polaroids of every outfit. And I remember watching that as, you know, like a probably 7 or 8 or I don't know, and I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like I want to do that, and I still want to do that now, but I can't because it's too expensive. We need more fellow Australian film YouTubers though, not a ton around. Yeah, that's true. In Southeast Queensland for sure. There's a couple. There's Nathan Measured Light. He does a lot of landscape stuff, and there's a few others about. But yeah, not as many as there are like in America for sure. Blue Velvet's a masterpiece. Yes, it is. Was introduced to it by a college professor. Yeah, I had a really nice email from somebody actually about the podcast the other day, which is on sort of hiatus at the moment. I'm not really doing the podcast just because I'm doing interviews on my newsletter. But I will pick it up hopefully later in the year. I'm really hoping that this year will be like the year that the channel really takes off. If I can have like, you know, the channel doing well and secure some more sponsorships, and be getting, you know, more views, because obviously more views equals more like money to be able to keep doing it. Because it really is like a really hard slog. Like I'm not trying to make anyone feel sorry for me because it's like it's our choice to do it, but I see why a lot of creators sort of, you know, fall off or they stop. Like it's just, you know, you just got to keep feeding it all the time, and you can work so hard on a video and it just sort of flops, you know, because it's just not what people want, or I don't know. So it's anyway, I'm hoping that we can really scale the YouTube channel like this year. It's growing really rapidly, so it's awesome. Thank you so much to everybody for watching. Like it's like that helps so much. So yeah, I'm hoping we can get that like really scaled and then like secure some more sponsorships or something, because obviously that's what keeps, you know, all of the you know, Grainy Days and like Willem and all those people like going. And I'm trying to look for something different though, not like a Squarespace kind of thing, but it can be really hard. And I get a lot of emails, as I know, like Ali said, she's been getting a lot of emails, and it's just things that you're just like, you know, no, like, yeah, you turn a lot of things down. But yeah, so really wanting to scale that. And then if I can be doing some sort of jobs on the side as well, like photography jobs. And then I've got a few other things in the works that'll be coming. I've got a website being built at the moment by Sana, who is Cameron from Selling Cameras' girlfriend. She did his website, and his website is so cool, really different and fun and like quirky. So she's doing mine at the moment, and I'm really excited to see that. So hopefully that'll be a good place to have everything I do, like, yeah, all in kind of one. I sound like I'm doing a Squarespace ad. I'm not. Have everything all in one place. Okay, so what else have I got here? What do you have? Tchaikovsky movies. Yeah, I don't think I've seen any. Like, I know about them and I've heard about them, but I'm not very good with like sort of, I guess I'd call that not traditional cinema, but yeah, I guess so. Like, yeah, I was always more like like into contemporary kind of movies, but definitely heard and read a lot about them and like even watched things on YouTube. It's weird when you've kind of grown up with the internet. I was talking to Lux about this. You end up feeling like you've seen things because you've read so much about it, or you've seen stills from it and you've watched YouTube videos about it, or you've watched a review about it even, but then you realize you haven't actually seen the thing, or whatever. Like, I remember when I watched Thelma and Louise, like I knew the ending already because I'd like, by the time I got around to seeing it, like I'd seen that scene and I knew all about it. So it kind of ruined it. Whereas that probably didn't happen like before we had the internet and we could just sort of like Google everything, if that makes sense. So if they allow, it would be cool to see the BTS from your client shoots with film. Yeah, something I'm working on. It's really hard. Like I really like the way like Sophia Carey, she does that. Like she shoots stuff and then she shows you the behind the scenes. It's really cool. But I just I haven't got that far yet because some of them I've been doing on my own. Some of them Lux is coming. So yeah, it'd be cool to get that, but it's like we really want to like keep the quality of the channel up. So we're trying to not use iPhones, like, because we've got like our X-T4 and it's all set up. So we're trying to use that, but then doing that obviously is a little bit more involved than just like whipping out your phone kind of thing. So content vampires. Yeah, I heard this is I haven't watched. I'm really behind on the Mamiya Amigos. Is that it? And I'm a bit jealous, to be honest, because I think that like me and Caleb would make a great duo. So just saying that, Jason. No, it's great. We watched the first one, but I haven't watched any more because I just haven't had any time. But yeah, I've heard that they were talking about content vampires, I think. Yeah. Have you tried Santa 100 film? Yes, absolutely love it. So good. I did a little newsletter about it and I shared some of my photos. Amazing film, and my lab scanned it like so well. It looks awesome. The Radical Yes and the Sensory Boutique were, thank you so much. Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, Radical Yes. I will try and link them below too. We did an awesome shoot with our Nikon F100. I posted some of them on the YouTube community tab. We shot Portra 160. We pushed it one stop to get a bit more like punch kind of in the color. Oh, looked so good. And that's the second roll of Portra 160 that we've shot recently, and I'm really loving it, even though I don't really see myself as like a Portra person normally, but really like that and want some more, which is annoying because it's really expensive and it's often quite hard to get. So thank you, Ali. Yes, your 2023 is going to be awesome too. Ever watch Wim Wenders Until the End of the World? It's almost 5 hours long, shot all over the world, and has incredible cinematography. No, I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it. I've seen lots of his other films, and he is an amazing like director, an amazing photographer. He's just great. So I will have to check that out. Don't know if I have a spare 5 hours at the moment. I've been really slack lately with movies and stuff like that. We've been watching shows because it's kind of more digestible. So we've watched White Lotus, great. Highly recommend that. We've been watching The Last of Us, which is being released like weekly on HBO. It's based on a video game, which initially I was like, that's weird. I'm not like a video game person, but it's, yeah, like kind of in the zombie apocalypse kind of realm, but it's a lot more linked to sort of like COVID. There's an outbreak. It's very relatable for anyone who's, well, for everyone who's been through COVID. And yeah, it's great, really good, pretty grim, but like, yeah, really love it. It's really good. And we are also watching Top of the Lake, which is quite old now, but I haven't seen it. And it's got Elizabeth Moss from Handmaid's Tale in it. And a bunch of other people. It's set in New Zealand, like beautiful cinematography, and like the landscape and stuff's really nice. Pretty heavy, but really good. And I think there's a second season that we'll watch after that. So that's what we've been doing. Sorry, I'm just gonna jump on my photography channel live stream and talk about um shows. I see Hashem get onto The Last of Us. Yeah, it's so good. Really, really loving it. It's awesome. It just keeps getting like better and better. And the last episode was like left on such a cliffhanger. I can't wait to see what happens. Yeah, iPhones, because I can record 12-bit on a really tiny sensor. If I want to do slow motion, I have to downgrade my footage to 1080p. So many compromises, reasons not to use phones. Yeah, it's just sort of, I mean, it's fine. Like using an iPhone, like we used it for ages and it was great. Like it's so accessible, especially if you've got a new one, like it still looks great. It's just a bit of a pain transferring the files over, and I don't know. Yeah, it's just like a more sort of limited and not a good like workflow as kind of what we've got now. But to be completely honest, that's not my section. I don't do that stuff. Like, yeah, so that's more of a Lux thing. But you being yourself is exactly exactly why your channel has grown. Carry on. Thank you so much, Terence. I think that's a great place to leave the live stream as well. Yeah, honestly, thank you so much. That means the world. And this channel is really, I don't want to be like, thank you speech, deep and meaningful, but this channel really has helped me to accept myself more. And I was actually thinking about writing a little kind of story or something like that for this magazine that's come out in Australia called Howl magazine, like HOWL, and it's all about motherhood and creativity. And it looks awesome. I've been meaning to get a copy. And yeah, I just think, wow, what a cool concept for a magazine. And what a great thing for mothers. I mean, mothers and fathers, but mothers to read, because it's like you do feel consumed by motherhood and that you do lose your creativity. So to have a magazine that's catered to that, and also the fact that it's a magazine and you can like go away and have like your own time and sit and read it is like really great as well. So I was thinking about writing something and submitting something to that, just like a little story about how kind of like starting a YouTube channel saved my life. Not It's a pretty grandiose statement, but something about how it really helped me through like transitioning into motherhood and that first year that was like really, really, really difficult. So yeah, so it's another thing to put on the list of the list of things that I'm doing. So anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for joining, and don't forget the links to the creative strategies guide down below, the pole studio frames, which are super awesome. They're linked below as well, and the newsletter, everything else that I was talking about. So thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next one. All right, take care. Bye.